we are talking about
life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Pretty much as usual.
Yeah. Try to keep it light today, light and airy.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I think maybe the question is, how are you doing? Like, what is happening in your life? How are you doing?
I am good. I feel like I am pretty much maxed out with how many things that I have on my plate and what's going on in my world, just because I have 3 kids that need me to drive them to all of their stuff that's going on in their world. And so it's kind of like a fast paced life right now that I would rather it be slower in some ways, but it's all good stuff. So it's good. I'm doing well. I'm glad that winter is over because officially, I feel like a relief about that. I do not like gloomy weather and cold weather.
Yeah.
And even though today is that, it's like we've turned a corner and I know that we made it.
Showers.
We made it. We made it. And there's just cool things to look forward to in the summer. And so I'm doing well.
Yeah, it's good.
What about you?
I had like a really good weekend, which was weird. So it was gloomy here on Saturday and rainy. So I kind of just chilled and gave myself permission to just chill and whatever. I repotted all of my houseplants.
Oh,
so
wow.
that was very exciting. And then what did I do? And then I just I cleaned a bunch. It was weird. I was like, who are you? And then Sunday came around and I got up really early and I went to the grocery store. I spent like an hour and a half at the grocery store, like just taking my time, but it was so early on a Sunday. Nobody was in there. So I just I love to listen to Jay-Z live.
Okay.
So Jay-Z did a live concert for MTV back in like the early 2000s, I think it was. And it's such a good album. And it's the perfect album to shop to. And I just listened to the whole thing and I shop and then I left. And I came home and I actually brought the food inside, which is always a task.
Yes.
A lot. But I actually cut up the vegetables and did all the put it away properly, cleaned out the fridge.
Food prep and stuff?
I didn't food prep, but it's a lot of times I'll bring I bought a pineapple. And so what will happen is I'll put the pineapple on the counter. I'm like, I'm going to cut that up. And they're like, I'll do it tomorrow. And then I look, the pineapple's moldy and I have to throw it away.
Yeah. Okay.
But I didn't do that this time. I cut it up. I was just doing stuff. I read a Bridgerton book for 2 hours, which I think, so a while back we talked about, I started Bridgerton, the book series, and I just finished the first one. It took me a minute just because I've been out of practice of reading, but I didn't know if it was going to get steamy or not. And it got kind of steamy.
Okay.
And I'm like, am I a romance novel person now? What is this?
I think I have another friend reading Bridgerton right now too.
Oh, it got really oh. Yeah, it was kind of funny the way they write the graphic scenes and stuff.
Okay, so are you planning to read the whole series? Is that
aside from the graphic scenes, I just like the series and I've really liked the show. So I really liked the first book. So I'm going to read the series as of right now.
That's cool.
And I was so bummed because when I went to the grocery store, they sell books there too. And they had a huge stack of the next Bridgerton book, number 2, when I was there the last time. And of course they were sold out. So I was so sad. But Sunday I just read my book and then because I was going to buy the second one in preparation for finishing the first one.
Yeah.
And I think, again, I read for 2 hours. I read something 200 pages, which it's not a hard read.
So nice.
But it was and it was kind of a dreary day. And I put on the Bridgerton Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
So it was all the music from the show. And so I'm reading it. And it just felt I'm like, what? Who am I?
That sounds so
It
fun.
was so nice.
That
and
sounds
then,
like a wonderful
And then I
afternoon.
bought plants for outside on my deck porch thing. So I put snapdragons out there and some grass stuff and just planted all these plants. I'm like, who are you?
You were very productive.
I felt more myself. And it was I hadn't seen her in a while. And it was just I just felt more myself. And I'm like,
That's
oh my
good.
gosh, this feels amazing. So
That's really good.
Just sometimes I need to stop saying so much, but whatever. That's who I am as a person. But on a Sunday, sometimes there's that feeling right before you're going to bed and it's just I have to go to work the next day and it's a bummer. But I didn't have that at all. I was just refreshed and renewed. And
that is amazing.
It's not that I love going to work, but it definitely had a different vibe. It set a different tone for the week. And I was just is this what life could be? Am I happy?
What do you think? Yeah. What do you think was the difference?
My medication probably just caught up to me. something.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I had been taking all my vitamins and stuff, and so I've just been trying to be more regular about it. Plus, I've been eating a lot better, and I don't like to say eating better because I don't like to put like moral judgment on food, but I've just been more like how we talked about being more mindful, and so just listening to my body. Am I actually hungry right now? What do I want to put in my body? And that's actually done great things. Like the other day, I was just like, all I want right now is a Whopper. And so I got an Impossible Whopper, the fake meat one. And it was so amazing because it's exactly what my body wanted. And then I didn't need anything else. That's just what I wanted.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I've been trying to make more conscientious choices. It's all this like old, gross diet language that I have to get out of my vocabulary. If you're looking for that, there's a great podcast called Maintenance Phase. I love it. But it's brought to light a lot of like the crap that has just been drilled into us, especially I think stateside for like moms that were like 90s moms. Like diet culture was so like, it was just so on. And they were just, at least my mom, she was very like not consumed with dieting, but it was part of her life. And she always been very like trim. And I just had a very different body style, and it's always been harder for me to like lose anything. I just am who I am, you know? And okay, like let's talk about a trauma dump. Okay, so I'm 10 years old. Okay, 10 years old, going through puberty. Okay. And we've talked about our puberties here before.
Yes,
so
you were so young.
And it's Christmas. And so I go to we fly to DC to be with my dad's side of the family for Christmas. Our first Christmas with them and whatever. And so my grandma used to buy us clothes and all kinds of stuff. So my grandma bought this pair of acid washed blue denim shorts for me. And they were a little bit too small. And my grandma's like, oh, it's okay. We can go. He was an army guy. So he's like, we can go to the PX and we can exchange them. And I was like, oh, don't worry about it. I'm sure I can fit into them. On Christmas, this woman goes up the stairs and puts the jeans on and comes down and shows everybody that they fit her. The 10-year-old's jeans. And she's like, oh, these are great. She's like, I can just wear them from gardening or whatever because they were pretty short.
What? And so then you didn't get the shorts?
So I didn't get the shorts, and I got body shamed because it was like, look, you
didn't even get the replacement like pair that fit you?
No. I got nothing for Christmas.
That is not cool.
I got other Christmas gifts. I didn't even think about that portion. I was more stuck on the fact that my mom could wear my pants.
Shorts.
Like,
that part's what?
Anyway, there's a whole treasure trove of diet damage. So I'm very trying to be mindful about the language that I use when I talk about food and the relationship to food, and
that makes sense.
Again, not putting moral whatever, but I have a little bit of a sweet tooth. But I don't like keeping a lot of the sweet thing in my house because I also like to eat things like chips and I forget that I've eaten them. So it's like, it's really easy for me to just eat a bunch of Oreos and not think about it. And then I'm like, oh, I'm hungry because it's filler, a lot of filler food.
Because there's not really a lot of nutrition in that.
It doesn't last very long. And then I'm like, I'm hungry. And then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, okay. So anyway, but I have been craving saltwater taffy.
Okay.
And so I got some saltwater taffy at the store, and it's just like, it's like the perfect little treat because like there's all these different flavors, which I like a different flavor, and it takes a minute to eat because it's chewy and it gives my jaw something to do so my mouth isn't bored. Yeah. And it has just been, it just brought me so much happiness. The stupid saltwater taffy. Anyway, it made me start thinking about like what else brings you happiness? Like what are these things you can bring into your life that make you happy? Like what makes you actually happy? And I'm not talking about like, well, I should say that, but it's the temporal things, obviously like eating taffy every day of my life is not going to end up making me happy in the long term.
Right.
But like, what are those little moments of joy or those little moments that just like bring a little joy or happiness? So that's my question to us today is like, what brings us joy? What brings us happiness? What makes us just smile? Our hearts just like grow.
Yeah.
This little Grinch over here.
Oh gosh. So many things. Definitely for me, flowers.
Like cut flowers in your house or just seeing them?
Both. But having something pretty, not that I always have flowers, but I like to go into my yard and find like clippings of stuff to just bring inside. And so those little, like just having a little flower on my windowsill or something like that is one of those little things for me.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And another thing is, because you were talking about books and you describing that sitting down, it was rainy outside, sitting down with a book and just reading for 2 hours and oh my gosh, that to me,
it's yummy.
It's like something that if I ever have that time and space in my life, which isn't frequent, I look forward to it so much. Like that's what I want to do. And I just need to be better about making it happen instead of doing things like chores, when I'm home.
Yeah.
Because there's always so many chores
There's always
to do.
something to do.
There's
Yeah.
just always so many chores that I feel like it's hard for me to relax when those things are in my, need to be done. So I tend to wait until I'm utterly exhausted and I just simply cannot do anything else. And then I will sit and read. But
I don't like that. You know what I mean? Like I've tried to get in the habit of reading at night, but I'm like, I'm so tired by the time night comes that it's not restorative. I just want to shut my eyes or watch something and not think.
Here's the thing. If I can go to bed early enough to know that I can read and have enough time
to read. Yeah.
And actually read and not just fall asleep right away. That brings me joy. Like I love going to bed. And
there's something magical about it, honestly.
If I go to bed early, I'm just like excited about it. I sound so boring and old, but it is true.
It's true.
I look forward to it. I'm like, I'm going to take a shower. I love taking a shower at night.
Yes. It's the best.
I take a shower. So dinner's done. Things are cleaned up. Kids are they're supposed to be getting ready for bed. I love getting ready for bed, getting into my pajamas and just being I want to just sink into my bed and read. So that's another
a good
thing
one.
for me.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I love a nighttime shower. It's the best.
Yes. Clean sheets.
Yes.
Fresh sheets. That's a little thing.
Okay. So I told you about this, I think, but oh my gosh. So I got new sheets.
Okay.
And so I bought sheets a while ago from Target when I moved here. And I don't really have a lot of sheet sets. I usually have one or two because, I don't.
You don't really need more than that.
I don't need more than that. And I don't like a lot of excess, even though I do when it comes to books. Anyway, so I got these sheets and I had to replace a pair of sheets. So I got a really high thread count a long time ago. They're from their that thread. Oh my gosh, what is that? Their main fancy line. It starts with a T. I can't remember. Threshold. There we go. It's the Threshold line. And I bought these sheets years ago and they were the silkiest, softest sheets ever. And I love them and I wore them out. They got a hole in them and I was like, okay, we're not going to be that person. Okay. We're not going to be the person with a giant hole in their sheets, and just pretend like it's not there. So I was like, I got a replacement pair and they never quite worked.
They weren't the same.
They weren't the same. And I was like, oh my gosh, these are just not that great. And I finally looked at them and I bought the wrong thread count.
That's why.
So the thread count that I had got was 1,200 and this was 800 or something like that. And so I bought the next one up. Done. Put those on my bed. I got into bed. I was like, oh yeah. It was just so yummy, so delicious.
Send me the link. I was literally looking at sheets today.
Yeah.
But I didn't buy any.
My friend gave me a tip that West Elm, I guess, has a really good set of sheets too, and they go on sale sometimes because they're kind of expensive because it's West Elm, but a lot of TikTok influencers recommend them, and she got a pair and she said she'll never sleep on anything else again. And I was just and I almost went and bought a pair, but I just bought these other sheets. I'm like, well, you don't really,
and they're pretty great too, apparently.
They're already great, and I'm like, these ones might be better, but homie, you just bought sheets and we're trying to save for a house. So you can't just be buying these sheet sets all the time. But yeah, I love a good high thread count. There's that, when you get to that comfy spot too, when you just get in the right, every pillow's in the right nook.
Yes.
And it's just oh my gosh, butter. I'm getting so excited for you to leave now. So I'm immediately I'm going to go home and I'm going to get a shower and I'm going to get ready for bed. Yeah. I also like to get ready for bed early sometimes just so it's over with. If I know I'm not going out, because that way at any time I can go to bed.
Absolutely.
Because the worst is when you're not ready for bed, but you're ready for bed.
Right. You want to go to bed, but you still have to get ready.
Yep. And it's just
it's just annoying at that point.
Yeah. And then you half-ass it
and
and
you
it doesn't
wash
feel
your
good.
face and you're kind of wake yourself up with it. And
yeah, it's a whole thing.
Kind of, maybe. Yeah. It takes a while for me to get ready for bed. I need a good 20 minutes.
Yeah. And my body pretty much every night at the same time, I'm I need to brush my teeth. My body's it's time. When I lived with my aunt, she would just laugh because it was like clockwork. You could set your watch by it. Every night at 8:30, I would just stand up and go take a shower and get ready for bed because I like to be in bed around 9:00.
Yeah.
Not to sleep, but just to unwind and be quiet. But yeah, it's wild. Anyway.
It's not wild, but it's the opposite of wild.
It's tame. So there's this, I was thinking about what brings me joy, and this is a weird one, but when I was in youth ministry, like a lot of times, you know, I'd get invited to a family's house for dinner. That's pretty common. And every single time, without doubt, all the kids in the family would want to show off their rooms. Like that was, because that's their extension of them in this world. And it was one of my favorite things to tour student rooms, because it's like being in their brain, right?
Yeah.
You'd walk into one student's room and it would just be like heaps of clothes everywhere. You're like, I get it now.
Yeah.
I get it. But that was one of my favorite things, is like when they start showing you like, oh, look I got this trophy, and look at this piece of art I made, and look at this, and look at my hamster, and just all those things. It just always made me just so happy. Yeah. So that was that's one of the things that always brings me joy.
Mm-hmm.
Is connection. Like when people share music with you, like, here's a playlist I love. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think that's such a sweet, like, I look at it as very intimate to share that, because I feel like music is so telling about somebody's soul. And like, I don't know, if I make you a playlist, that's saying something. Like,
okay. Yeah. Do you make people playlists?
Yeah, I used to, like, there was a minute where some of the students still had CDs in their car. So every once in a while I'd burn a CD, but I don't even have a CD player at this point. So I'll make like a Spotify or YouTube playlist and send it to someone. But it's just not the same vibe as like, here's a physical, tangible, like cassette tape or, you know, CD or whatever. So yeah.
That's ancient history now.
Although, like, you know, records made a comeback, cassettes are around again. So
really?
Yeah, you can get them at like, or at least you used to be able to get them at,
are they selling Walkmans too?
I don't think so. But I mean, the vintage ones go for a lot on eBay, because people are trying to buy, you know, I think that's interesting too, actually, that you bring that up, because, you know, you see people that are on eBay and Etsy and they sell vintage stuff, because anything that's like 30 years old, I think it is vintage, or 20 years old is considered vintage. And it's funny how you see people buying their childhood. Right. You know, you see them buying the things that they never had or always wanted, or I don't know, I just think it's interesting, like paying big bucks too.
You know what's interesting is fashion right now. And and the way that
it's a cycle.
Now, I don't know if this is just like a subculture group, probably, because there's all kinds of those. But I ran into a friend, and her daughter has a little shop in the uptown, and there's like a store, and it has all these stalls, and so like and it's got antiques and a bunch of random stuff. But this girl, she has been selling vintage clothing.
That's hot right now.
Yeah. And so I kind of looked at stuff, and she had stuff like this sweatshirt that had paint stains all over it. And it was just from some random business. And these old grandma sweaters with collars. Yeah. And just
it's
embroidered
wild, right?
stuff, like all this, and just really, really random, oversized, just stuff that I would consider really ugly. And that is
so hot, man.
The stuff that people apparently want to buy, like teenagers.
Yeah. Oversized 90s, 80s stuff. Yeah. Well, and it's interesting too that like the resale market has gotten to be where a lot of big companies are trying to make it so you can't resell their stuff, or trying to put limitations on it, which is wild. And then they're also like, there's a lot of big fashion houses that are trying to they'll buy back their own stuff so they can have their own vintage line.
Interesting.
It's like a whole thing. But yeah, it's all of that is super popular and hot. And it's kind of sad for like people that, you know, they really rely on going to thrift stores and stuff to actually get clothing, because a lot of prices have gotten jacked up, or it's hard to find
all
things.
These people are trying to buy up stuff and resell it.
Yeah. For like, I mean, there's jackets and stuff that will go for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. T-shirts that go for hundreds of dollars. Well, it's wild.
She told me they went to this thing in this market, outdoor market or something like that in Portland last weekend. Girl made $3,000.
Yeah. It's wild.
Selling old clothes.
It's wild. Yeah. It's
what is this world?
But, you know, like if you want to look
for her, but I was just also kind of like,
how?
What?
I know.
And I so don't want to get on that train. Like, I don't care about wearing those clothes. I want to wear other stuff.
Yeah. It's not, that's not where you're at in life.
It is not. And so I don't know.
You don't have to pay attention.
But I also don't really know what I want to, like, I kind of feel like I want to revamp my style in a way.
Yeah.
Spring is always hard for me to figure out what to wear.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Because I think I want to wear like lighter colors or something. I feel like I'm coming out of the deep dark winter of like all my wool and layers of leggings and sweaters and dresses and vests and everything. And I'm like, I don't know what to wear because I'm still cold.
Mm-hmm. Girl, I've lost all fashion sense. So you can't look at me. Like I try, like some days I'm like, you know what? This looks super cute. I'm wearing jeans and a plain sweatshirt and Chucks. Or All-Stars, I'm just like, look at me. The All-Stars are red. I'm fashion queen. Like,
okay, so back to our topic though. Joy,
happiness.
Totally switching from clothing to another surface thing. Makeup.
Oh, makeup brings you joy?
It totally does. I really want to buy all the different kinds of blushes right now, and I have to restrain myself.
I feel the same about skincare. Like when I go to Ulta, like I want to buy all the skincare, and I'm like, girl, you have a full cart and 2 shelves in your bathroom full of skincare. Everything you'd ever want.
I just want different colors. I want different colors of lip stuff. I want different colors of eyeshadow. I'm discovering these new clean makeup lines that I'm loving, and I'm just wanting all the stuff.
I mean, yes, to all of that. One of my favorite memories is my friend and I that we were in Korea we were in Korea together, and we got paid on Fridays, and we got paid once a month on a Friday. And so usually on Fridays we would go on that payday and we would go to shopping and get makeup, and it was great. And so skincare. And it was so fun.
And skincare.
Yeah.
When you say skincare, are you talking about like lotions
and potions, anything that has to deal with skin? Not makeup, but anything.
Do you switch it up all the time? See, for me, I'm like, I want to find something that works for me, and then I want to use that forever. I don't want to change it up until maybe like a couple years down the road. I don't know.
So I have a standard routine for morning and evening that I do consistently, and then I have things that are one-offs. So I have masks and different stuff I use just depending on how I feel.
Okay.
Yeah. But I have a standard set of beauty that I do. One day I'll share my routine because it is extensive.
Yes.
But then I have all these like masks and stuff. So I'm feeling like not hydrated, or if I just want to have fun, or my under eyes are puffy, I just have all kinds of different stuff.
Okay.
It's wild. Wild's my new thing. I'm trying not to say crazy. Well, because I use crazy, but that's really like, has some negative connotations with it. And now people are like, she's being too PC. Well, guess what? Sometimes it hurts people's feeling if you say crazy, because it's like, not necessarily kind to people that are neurodivergent. Okay, so or neuro non-typical or whatever, atypical. Wild. So I'm trying to use other words for crazy, which it's hard because I only really use wild or bananas or cray. But I'm like, you can't use cray because that's a derivative of crazy. And then I'm like, what are you doing with your life? I'm like, I'm trying to be a compassionate person.
Okay, well, that's good. You learned something new. I didn't really realize. I never thought about using the term.
Yeah, it's like saying psycho or you're a sociopath, bad? Like, because those are like real diagnoses, or at least they used to be. So it's like, like, can you imagine walking up to somebody and be like, you are diabetic, and they're not? Like, that's so weird. If you put it in a different context, that would be weird to do. So
yeah.
I don't know. I think I also think it's not dangerous. Like, nobody's going to get hurt. But I think that people have a tendency to like use narcissist. You're a narcissist, or they're a psycho, when they're really not. And they can use that as a way to like try and hurt someone's reputation. Anyway, on a happier note, something that brings me a lot of joy.
Back to that.
Are yellow cupcakes. So Hostess, the Hostess makes the chocolate cupcake with the little swirl. They have one that's yellow too. Technically, the flavor is orange, but I always called it a yellow cupcake. Back in the day, it was a regional thing. You could not get it in all the stores. It was based on what region you lived on. And so only a few stores in the Tri-Cities would have them. And so my dad would get me a yellow cupcake, and it was like the best thing ever. And I didn't have one for years and years. And then one time I went to Chicago for Thanksgiving, and I'm walking by this convenience store and I see yellow cupcakes. You know what your girl did? She bought 6. Okay. So I'm like, I'm going to bring these home and freeze them because I don't know when I'll have them again.
You ate them all.
I remember I was sitting in my aunt's like den watching TV and waiting for her to get home, and I opened it, and just the smell, it took me back to 1984. I'm sitting with my dad eating yellow cupcakes. Yeah. It was just made me so happy. And so when Hostess was going to go out of business a few years ago, I went and bought a bunch of yellow cupcakes again because I was just like, I'm never going to have another one, and blah,
Did you put them in the freezer?
No, I ate them. But now Hostess has been rebranded and, rebuilt and whatever. So it's no longer regional. So I can get them wherever.
Oh.
And so our local Safeway has them. And so every once in a while, I'll just grab a couple yellow cupcakes and I'll just have one. And it just takes me back to being a kid. It makes me feel at home. And I don't know why I have food issues because I feel the love through the freaking cupcake, but it's so good. And it's always been the yellow cupcake to me. And I don't know anybody else that eats them. I've never met another person that likes yellow cupcakes. I don't think I've
ever had one.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to buy you them.
I know. I want one now.
Yeah. You're probably, Beth, these are disgusting, but it's okay. Imagine that you're 5.
There's an attack. Exactly.
It's different when you eat stuff when you're young.
There's a different connection. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
People eat lots of food that, others might be like, that doesn't taste good to me. But when you start eating it when you're a kid, it's just your taste buds.
I know. Well, I think about that and I go to myself, okay, I'm shaping my kids' palates in a way.
Oh, yeah.
With the food that I cook. And then I start to feel bad.
Oh, do you feel like you're not being diverse enough?
I feel like cooking is just not something that I take a lot of time to. I don't like to put a lot into it. I want it to be fast. I want to get it over with. And I just want everyone to eat so we don't die. That's
but I've had dinners at your house before. You're a great cook.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's always good. I'm like,
but let me just tell you.
bread. Okay.
You didn't make bread.
But you cut it up and you put butter on it. And I was just like, this is the best thing ever. And you usually have vegetables and
oh yeah. My kids eat healthy food. Yeah. Like we're eating balanced meals for the most part, I think. I don't know. But I make a lot of soup. That's for sure.
Oh my gosh. Yes. You're the soup lady.
I make a lot of soup. And I told my kids, I was like, oh man, we're going into the summer. What are y'all going to eat? Because I don't want to make soup in the summer. So anyway, Gazpacho. I don't really feel bad for my kids because it's like they're like, no, not really. But I just think it could be so much.
You're doing a great job.
But I bought this cookbook, which I'm going to return, but because I was like, actually, I'm not going to make any of these recipes in here because it looked so good and all the pictures and all that. And then I was just like, too much work. It's too much work. Too much work. Like all these things are from scratch, which is good, but I don't want to do that because it's so I just have to be.
It's too much.
I have to have all the ingredients and then I have to plan in advance and then I have to make the dough for stuff. No, and I was just like,
nobody wants to do that.
I don't want to do that anymore. I have done that and I'd rather do other stuff. Yeah. So anyway.
You'd rather read a book. Okay.
I really would. Or go outside.
Yeah. There's barbecue. That should be your go-to is barbecue. Go. Just grill everything.
Yes.
That'll be great.
Anyway, I don't really feel bad for my kids, but just kind of, if I think about it too much, because I do love to see all the pictures and think about all these fantastic, amazing recipes and stuff that I just don't make.
Yeah. I own probably 50 cookbooks because I bought a ton of cookbooks because I was vegan and gluten-free for a long time and I didn't know what to eat and whatever. I hate the online stuff sometimes, but that's the problem. Too many ingredients, too long to cook.
I know.
Nothing's just instant, ugh, no thank you.
I know.
I drew a lot of inspiration from some of those cookbooks though of okay, I can modify this to make it actually doable. Yeah. But it's ain't nobody soaking beans overnight over here. Okay. Because I'm going to forget, go to make the recipe and guess what? I don't have soaked beans.
Yeah.
So anyway, tangent and a rant. That's a rant, not a joy.
Back to the joy stuff.
Yeah. Happiness and joy.
Ooh, if I have my nails done, that brings me joy.
Yeah.
If they look pretty.
Yeah.
All my things are surface.
No, they're not. You had some food stuff in there too that goes inside. And reading, that's not surfacey. Yeah. I don't know. I think I was trying to think back to when have I been happiest? I had a really good office party a few years ago, which whoever has a good office party, and I just danced the whole night and that was so much fun.
Oh my gosh.
It was so fun that still, if I go live in that moment, it just brings me joy. I think a lot of the stuff that brings me true joy and happiness is just connection to people.
Oh yeah.
There's, again, I keep bringing up my youth group. I'm clearly missing those little buggers right now. But years ago when I was still a youth minister, I would always prep for them to come in. So I'd put out food and I would like get my lesson up on the screen and just kind of be ready to go. And I usually was ready about like 5 to 10 minutes early. And this was before any volunteers came, but before the students came. And I would just stand and look out the window of the youth group room and just kind of stare at the parking lot where people drop people off. And I would just kind of, be prayerful and just be thinking. And then they'd start showing up. And it just brought me so much joy to just watch them like walking in.
Yeah.
And it used to annoy me because they'd say my name about 1,000 times, like Beth, 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 because they'd want to tell stories and stuff. But I just missed that of like hearing all of that. And it just brought me a lot of joy to just have those connections.
Yeah. Well, and that definitely makes me think about my kids. I mean, honestly, what brings me the most joy, I would say, in my life is my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And just getting to be their mom and getting to watch them live their lives and do things that bring them joy brings me so much joy. Like, it's so fun to watch my kids discover things they're passionate about and get excited about things and just, oh my goodness. And my daughter right now is at the age where she's still so incredibly sweet and cuddly, and she's just positive and wonderful and just an absolute delight. And so just every single morning when I wake her up, like just seeing her brings me joy. Like just seeing her face and my boys too. I mean, I love my kids so much. They bring me so much joy. And I love like just seeing them after school. And even though they don't like talk to me very much, I'm just like, they're there.
Yeah, they're back.
Yeah, I love them.
Your eyes are glistening.
Oh, I love my
sweet.
kids so much. And they are so amazing. Like, they're such amazing kids. I'm clearly absolutely in love with my kids. Yes, and very biased, yes. But yes, you were talking about connections. I'm like, yeah. That and my nails.
Yeah. Connection and nails. That's all. That's really all you need. You know what I mean? Like, life doesn't have to be that deep, really. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't. And it sometimes it's nice to just be like, I just like this one shade of lipstick and I love it. And I put it on and I feel good.
Speaking of shades of lipstick, you sent me that TikTok with the girl who's like, this is the shade of my nipple. Remember?
I know.
It was our podcast. That was our conversation.
I know. And it's so true. So I just...
Did you do it yet? Have you done
I
that?
have not taken... I told you I'm not taking a picture of my nipple to take to Sephora.
Yes, you told me you would.
Oh, that's a lie. I told you.
Or maybe you told me to do that.
I think I told you to do that because I am not comfortable doing that. You go and do that. But yeah, it cracked me up because I was just like, yep, we just had this conversation that people were going to start doing that. And I was like, it's started. So
that's so funny.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that, again, it's just the little things in life because I don't know, at least for me, what the last few years has taught me is like life is just really hard, which we all know can be really hard. I mean, some people seem to have a charmed life where nothing is askew, but that is not the reality for a lot of us. And you just got to take what you can get when you can get it. Because a lot of like the dreams and ambitions that you have won't necessarily pan out or play out the way you want to. So might as well just indulge in a good book or, have a great cupcake or make sure your nails are pretty or whatever it is to get you through what this is, the reality of our world. Let's end on a real bleak note because this world is going to end, people. No. But yeah, it's just, I don't know.
Hanging out with a friend. That's a good one.
I love game nights. I just want more game nights. I need to find a game night crew because I'll
be a part of that crew.
am desperate to
we
hang
should
out.
start a game club.
I know. I was actually thinking about that.
A game club.
Yeah.
Once a month.
Just come play games. Every month it's a different game.
Okay, so who's listening that wants to do this with us?
And that lives in a, kind of close.
Comment on one of our Instagram posts.
Yes.
By the way, follow us on Instagram.
Yes, we need more followers.
Lick the Spoon Podcast.
At Lick the Spoon Podcast on Instagram.
Yes.
But same. It's just, that's the way the kids say it. You got to say the at. Yeah. We could be mutuals. Do you know what a mutual is?
Maybe.
No, you don't. It's like when you both follow each other.
I know what the word mutual means.
Okay. Like we both follow. So if I say we're mutuals because we both follow each other on Instagram.
Okay.
And usually it's like what influencers say to each other. Like we're we're mutuals. So both of us follow each other. It's like a thing. Okay, I'm just trying to bring.
I like that.
The Gen Z culture up to this level.
Which, by the way, when are you ever going to post that episode where you quiz me on pop culture words?
That's a lost episode. I don't even know where that is.
I remember experiencing the conversation because you were asking me and I was like, yes, I know.
You know what? I feel like we did it when we first started our podcast. We did like a couple sessions with a lot and took a lot of like, we just taped a lot. Like we just taped a lot.
Yeah, it might be a lot to go back in and do that. So maybe it's lost forever. I don't know.
Heck no. I still have all that stuff. It's just going to sound horrible because our old setup was so bad, but it's fine because it's good content. It's funny. So you have to find that and dig that one out. But yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just think, I don't know. I'm just trying to find more joy in my life in the everyday.
Yeah.
You know, whether it be just owning a snake plant in my office or...
I'm pretty sure your cat brings you some joy. That
she's a little hooch. I mean, she kind of brings you joy, but literally this weekend, she likes, like if I'm sitting down, typically she's in my lap. Like I'm kind of shocked she's not in my lap right now, but it's just because you're here. And I was sitting there this weekend. I'm like, I'm literally her chair. I am the cat's chair. That's
your new role.
That is my role. And I wanted to get up and do stuff, but she was so cute and she was sleeping. I'm like, well, I can't now because she's sleeping on me and I'm the chair. And then she's had this weird new thing where she likes to just sleep on my face. And so I was like laying on the couch. I don't know if
that's new. I feel like that's
it's happened a few times before, but not where it's like hours. Like we were watching a movie together and she's just on my face.
You allow this?
Listen, okay. You allow your children to sleep in their beds.
They don't sleep on my face.
They sleep in their beds, Kate. She gets what she wants, you know? I mean, and I have the scars to prove it because it's just like, I mean, look at this one. I mean.
Oh my word. You have a giant scratch on your leg.
It's all over my whole body. I look like I have a problem.
You're in an abusive relationship.
With my cat. Absolutely. And so I have to clip her nails all the time because she physically hurts me. But I mean, she's trained me well. We wake up at 5 a.m. She gets a scoop of treats strategically placed in 7 different places so she can hunt. And then the other thing that has become very, very, very aware to me is that she no longer likes to play with those dangly toys. Okay. She just likes to watch me play with them. So she'll just meow and get at me until I start just like flopping around, you know, the like little like string toys, and she watches me. And so she's gotten me so trained, like I'll lay in bed and I'll be like on TikTok or reading and I have one arm out, you know, shaking the thing. She's not even in the room. So that's where I'm at in life.
Oh my goodness. You know what? That story brings me a lot of joy.
Oh my gosh.